checking we're the correct distance apart. What distance of what? Like your little toe? Hello everybody, how are you doing? Welcome to, well, a Wing Wednesday, and it's been a long time.
Welcome to a video.
But happy to say that Adam is here. We're socially distanced, as you just saw, perfectly measured out. And it's great to be back in the sunshine, in my back garden, chatting about wedding stuff and answering questions, and just generally in a really good place because of recent announcements for the wedding industry. Things, I'm always staying positive. I think things are only going to get better from here. And the big steps made by the government recently, let's hope we can keep going as we are before we're back to normal. But good steps for now.
Weddings we're making the right steps forward. Weddings are starting to come back, so watch this space, I guess, because it doesn't look far off, hopefully, especially for videographers and stuff. So this is a Q&A part 3. Parts 1 and 2 are up on the channel already, but I thought I'd bring Howard along for the latest bunch of questions, if you don't mind. And the main one I wanted to talk about was from Zenith Visual Media.
Zenith Visual Media,
and it's about which is pretty common especially in the videographer and the photographer world, is being introverted, and something that lends itself to creative types is confidence and social anxiety and being an introvert, because generally I think creative types can be quite introverted.
I know.
So the question is how do you deal with anxiety of at a wedding, of speaking confidently and socially to guests, to other suppliers, things that are really important in order to maintain your bookings, like building a good network of suppliers.
Well, a big part of building a great business, a good wedding business, is being able to chat to people, to create networks, to bond with people, and create relationships with people, because these are the guys that are going to recommend you, and you can recommend each other. And so having those abilities to be able to go and chat to people freely without anxiety is a key thing.
Well, we push the networking side all the time. It's worked really well for me. I've built a really strong network through just advice from you, and I know yours is great, and that's a big part of what you do. But for a lot of people, it's hard to have the confidence to speak to people like that.
It's funny
on the wedding day and before, after, surrounding.
I mean, I'm an entertainer, so it's part and parcel of what I have to do. I have to be able to go into a crowd of people that I don't know and chat to them and converse with them and make them laugh and do all those things. But I'll let you into a little bit of a secret. When I was younger, I was the shyest person, even in late teens. I was the shyest person.
Second shyest person.
Well, you were the first, so it just goes to show that you can turn things around if you want to, and it's all about acknowledging it and asking yourself the question, okay, what do I need to do to be able to get over this, rather than just keep focusing on the problem. So ask yourself the right questions, and then you will find answers. For me personally, listen, everything can be learned and everything can be practiced, but I think we're so lucky with our industry. It's not like a high intense situation like going into a job interview or talking in front of a big audience. It's literally general chit chat, which is there's no pressure. So, and I always say, look, when you talk to people in the wedding industry or even on weddings, talk to them like they're your actual friend already, because that person who is an introvert or is shy, there's no doubt he will have friends he can talk to on the phone or family, and it just flows and it's perfect because they feel relaxed in that situation. So if you just address other people as if you're already friends and just general chit chat with them, don't put any pressure on yourself to be a certain way or a certain person. Nobody's judging you.
Yeah, just be yourself.
Just be yourself and just be friendly. And don't worry, you don't have to be the funniest person in the room. You just have to be able to, converse with somebody in a friendly,
don't be a dick,
unpressured way. And these things can be learned. It's just practice. Certainly with suppliers, when you go on a wedding, you're all in the same boat, so you've got common ground, and you've got so many conversation starting points. Hi, how's the traffic? Have you seen the bride? All these little conversation starters.
This is helpful in answer to this question. Is an easy one for me. As soon as I turn up on the morning of the wedding, and I see the photographer, I'll just go, "Hi, I'm Adam." Shake the hand. That's your starter. And how long you been here? How's it going this morning? Or if you get there before the photographer, it's, so where have you come from? How was the traffic? And I normally say something like, don't worry, I'm not going to get in your way, I'm not one of those video guys, and like that, try and create a little bit of a joke around that. And conversation starters work with the makeup artists and the DJs work in the same way. Just introduce yourself, say hello.
Yeah,
where have you come from? What's your business name?
I think the conversation is easy in this situation because you are all in the same boat. But I always say, don't overthink it. Just, as soon as you start overthinking, then you can sink back into anxiety. Yeah. Oh shit, am I saying the right thing? Just don't think, just do. And even if you do say the wrong thing, it doesn't really matter.
And for me, it's normally a group situation in the morning because I turn up and the bride and the bridesmaids are all getting ready. And if I start conversation, if I'm speaking to the bride, for example, and then the makeup artist is doing her makeup at the same time, then she comes in and it becomes a bit more of a group conversation, which takes the pressure off a one-on-one situation. And to be honest, the bride's like super distracted anyway, so you can't really go wrong as long as you're polite and you just say hello and they've got other things to think about, to worry about in that moment than how you said a certain thing. And most of those kind of worries are in people's heads, aren't they?
Yeah, people overthink it too much, and I think people live the life as they do by other people's expectations, and they're worrying about what people think of them, what they do. You've got one life. Don't worry about things like that. Just don't overthink things, and just generally chat about stuff that's right in front of you. And it's just God, if you're going to go out and learn this stuff, a wedding is a perfect environment for it. Everybody's generally friendly. As far as guests go,
you don't have to be formal either. You don't like polite and formalness is all well and good, but like you were saying about just pretending that they're already your friend, at a wedding environment, you can just speak to people on a friendly conversational level. And
this for me, this spans across
not just so much easier.
Not just on the wedding. So I'm a big advocate of when I get wedding inquiries, I actually pick up the phone, and start talking to these people who've inquired with me. Well, you can carry that forward to that situation and just speak to that bride or that groom, whoever you're chatting to, just like they're already your friend, so no pressure.
This is another one, is if you've booked the wedding with them over the phone and you've met in person, even better. I always try and meet my couples like a few weeks before the wedding if we didn't meet up initially when they booked, because it does take the sting out of that initial, you're not turning up on the morning of the wedding having not met. And that can make the anxiety and the pressure of that introduction even harder. Whereas if you've already met beforehand, by the time you turn up on the wedding day, it's like you're greeting a friend, and it's much more comfortable.
I think if you're not comfortable of ringing somebody straight away, which is one of the things that I would do, is even if you're texting or even you're having direct messages on social media, you can build up a bit of rapport just by doing that, and then you can follow on with the phone call. And because you've already had that initial bit of banter or a little bit of conversation, via text or direct messaging or whatever, it's broken the ice a little bit. So it's not you going in straight away. So then that can lead to a bit of more of a relaxed, feeling when you eventually speak to them. And then when you see them on the wedding day for person, you've got all this history of texting, then chatting on the phone, maybe doing a Skype or a Zoom meeting, whatever you do when you take your bookings. And then when you see them on the day, you're much more relaxed. So set yourself up to win, and if you're worried about ringing people straight away, well, don't. Just start the conversation with texts and emails, and then just build up to that phone call and that conversation.
At the very simplest level, it's just a practice game. Even if I was super shy, as you know, and you're saying you were super shy, and now you're the complete opposite with what you do.
And you
it's
can
all
change.
Through I'm completely comfortable speaking to people at a wedding now. I'm comfortable speaking on camera now, which I never used to be when I started doing this YouTube stuff. It's all learned, and it takes time and practice, and it just gets easier. So even if you hate it and you're really uncomfortable with it, practice can go a long way.
It's the fear bubble, isn't it? And it's to progress in anything, in life,
you've got to push
in
yourself
business.
out of your comfort zone, haven't you?
And it's amazing what actually happens when you actually do that and you come out the other side of the fear bubble. You realise there's actually nothing to be worried about. I always have this scenario in my mind sometimes. Okay, what is the very worst that can happen from doing this? Am I going to die? Am I going to be ridiculed? Whatever. I always have these conversations, and I try and put it into perspective. Well, actually nothing very bad is going to happen if I say the wrong thing to that person. Because if I say the wrong thing, I can just stop and say, oh, I'm really sorry, I get nervous chatting to people. I'm kind of new to going out and chatting in venues and weddings and whatever. I'm really sorry. And then they'll go, oh, don't worry about it, it's cool, you know.
And the other thing is that in your head you think that people are going to really judge you and that's going to stay with them, but the honest truth is that people have got their own shit going on.
You never know what people are thinking.
And people don't have the capacity to think back beyond what is going on in their own lives, so they're certainly not going to be worried about the way you said a certain thing last week.
This is a big breakthrough for me. When I started to go out and be more of an interactive entertainer and a singer, at the start I was very nervous. I'd stand in the background and I'd look at everybody while I was singing, and I was almost thinking what every one of these people are thinking about me. I was overthinking about it, and they're judging me, they're looking, oh shit, am I sounding good? And then I just broke through that, and I thought, you know what, they're not thinking what you think they're thinking. Yeah. And it's, even if I've had somebody at a wedding years ago just looking at me a little bit funny, and I was like, shit, what's that guy thinking about me? And then when I did the gig and chatted to him after, it was just the way his face was. He wasn't judging me. Yeah. It was just the way he was looking.
Had that kind of
he was
face.
One of those starey kind of guys, you know. That's his thing. And I'd taken it completely wrong. I was thinking he's judging me, and he's thinking I sound rubbish. It's all these things you think up in your mind that they're not necessarily true, and generally they're not true. So
you just
don't overthink it.
Get in your head too much, don't you? Well, another part to this question was about getting referrals from suppliers. Like, that's obviously a great avenue for getting work and generating inquiries. But what if you never speak to suppliers? How are you going to get referrals from them? And how do you break the ice initially in order to create those relationships?
All that can be done online, which is the beauty of the industry we're in as well. I suppose any industry really.
Well, okay, it can
you can
be cultivated purely through social media.
You can
if
do
you want
it
to.
Through messaging on social media, or hashtagging people in, or shouting about their businesses. You know, you don't have to physically direct message them and say, hi, I'm such a video person, how you doing? You could just start subtly mentioning them on your post. If you've worked with them in the past, include them in your posts. They might reply and say, oh, thanks for tagging me in that post, and you can start building relationships that way without thinking you've got to pick up the phone or talk to people.
Yeah, it's like you've been doing recently, and like we've been pushing on the students recently about every time you book a wedding, you could just do an Instagram post saying, yeah, you booked a wedding at this venue, tag them in, and you find out who the suppliers are and say, can't wait to work with this photographer, tag them in, this DJ, tag them in, and you've indirectly started a conversation.
You've indirectly introduced yourself and started talking to them.
Because I meet people all the time that are like, oh yeah, we're friends on social media, like I've seen your stuff for months, been following you for years, and like I didn't even know. And I probably just liked one of their things a while back, and then they followed me and I followed them, and you get to a point where you meet in person, you're like, I already feel like I know you because I've been friends with you on social forever.
That's the beauty of it. I've had people come up to me at weddings and go, how's it going? Oh yeah, it's like, do I know you?
Yeah.
It's like,
I saw what you did with your grandma last week, and it's like,
yeah. And people are automatically friendly to you as well. You know, if you're shouting about people and you're tagging in venues and you're chatting to suppliers online, when you see them in person, they know it's you who've been shouting about them. They've got nothing but friendliness coming your way. You know.
This is another reason I like to be quite personable and like personal brand on my Instagram and show off my real life as well as wedding stuff. Because I'll put pictures of me and Jade and the dogs, and I'll put stuff of me snowboarding or where days out that I've been on. Because then I go to a wedding the next week, and it's like, oh, I saw your dogs last week, and it's conversation points. Then the bride's followed me on Instagram, and she's like, oh, I saw you were at this restaurant last week. I've been there. Things like that from your personal life.
We're in a very personal business, and I think those people that have a mix of professional stuff and the personal life on the social media is just the way. I think they're the real winners. That's the way to go. Certainly the people that I follow and that I know in the industry, the real winners are the ones that show them true selves, talk about obviously their professional work and show their beautiful product that they supply to the wedding industry, but also show themselves and not be scared to show that personal side, because people can relate to you a lot more. Somebody's going to book somebody who they feel friends with even before they've met them. You know, if you've got like a common interest and you talk about
People
it.
by people. It's funny how we always, whatever the topic is about, it always comes back to that, doesn't it?
People by people. You need people to like you, obviously, but you don't have to go out there and worry about people liking you. You just have to be yourself.
And just remember that at a wedding, everyone's in their best mood. The atmosphere is always great. Everyone's having a good time. It's probably the easiest environment to chat to people because everyone's already on the front foot and happy.
What, just adding on to that as well, because I actually went through this when I started out years ago. I really wanted to try and be this really confident person. How can I get there? How can I do it? And I used to read a lot of books and listen to a lot of things like podcasts and recordings, and they really helped me. Certainly people like Tony Robbins helped me massively. I used to watch all of his videos, read all his books. I used to buy his CDs and listen to him in the car when I was driving about. And it really ingrained in my head. But also, Paul McKenna was a big one for me. There was one of his books, I think it was called Instant Confidence, and the other one was Change Your Life in 7 Days. For somebody, maybe I think the person who asked this question, the book Change Your Life in 7 Days, for me, was key. You're going to think this is sounding weird, but it's not. It's about filling your brain with different information that you probably don't generally hear, that make you think a different way. And the lessons I learned from both those books propelled me to lose that fear and go forward and do stuff and not be afraid to make mistakes. And
there'll be all sorts of content and podcasts and things these days with that.
Without a doubt, but those for me,
book,
Change Your Life in 7 Days and Instant Confidence. And then I used to back that up with listening to Tony Robbins constantly, and it changed me as a person, because then I was going out and doing stuff because I felt I could do it then.
Yeah.
And then that helped change me as well as I went and did it. You know, so
I could put a link to the book in the description.
And always fill in your mind. Listen,
surround yourself with the positive people and all that kind of thing.
Certainly nowadays, you put the TV on and there's not much good news. So this is what the media's flying to us at the minute, is all this stuff on the normal mainstream media. Well, just break away from it a little bit. Don't put the telly on. Listen to positive stuff. Keep the positive stuff going in, because then the positive stuff will come out, without a doubt.
Oh, nice. Like it.
Do you like that?
Put the positive stuff in so that the positive stuff's coming out. Yeah.
Well, it's true, isn't it?
It's true.
It's just about changing the way that you think. And mindset is massive with success and in life.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
Without a doubt.
So that's it's practice. It's reaching out on social media. It's I used to talk when I started doing this. I used to hit record on the camera, talk to the camera for 10 minutes, watch it all through, and then just delete it and never do anything with it. But even that was helpful, just to do it in private. And
I just think getting excited about knowing what's to come when you can break through this, and so when you can look at where you could be here, if you had these extra skills to be able to do these, to talk to people confidently, where that's going to lead you and how much your life is going to be because of it, you'll work towards that. And you'll think, right, now every day, I'm going to listen, I'm going to read that book, I'm going to listen, I'm going to shout out to somebody online. I might even pick up a phone to a venue and just say hello.
Well, the thing is, you can have full total belief that it's going to work out if you put the work in. If you're telling yourself every day, like getting up and going, right, today I'm going to read that book, or today I'm going to try and reach out to 5 suppliers, and you force yourself to do these little to-do tasks every day, then there's no reason why it won't eventually lead to where you want it to.
It's exciting, because just watching you and watching myself, when I went through this metamorphosis, and you did as well, you really came out of yourself, because you're kind of forced to a little bit in our industry, because you do really have to talk to people.
Well, the brain's a muscle, isn't it? You've got to do reps constantly and work at it, and otherwise,
and then it will become natural.
Yeah, and the more reps you do, the more weights you lift, the stronger you get. It's like it works the same.
And then you're a completely changed person. It's bizarre. It's bizarre.
And then you sit in lockdown for 3 months and you forget how to talk to anyone.
But listen, you have the time then to actually go and talk to people and get on the phone and talk to people online. And
we're just connecting in a different way now, aren't we?
Of course you are, yeah. And sometimes that actually can help some people, maybe.
Yeah.
If they get a bit nervous about seeing people face to face.
FaceTime's a great one, because the brilliant conversation starter with FaceTime is Like, hi, thanks for coming on, appreciate you doing a FaceTime, sorry we couldn't meet in person, but at least this way I don't have to wear pants.
I think I say that every time.
I always use that line, and then that makes them laugh. And then you go, no, really, and you stand up, and no, you don't do that. You just.
I think starting with something in a conversation
some kind of joke.
On a FaceTime where you can make them sort of laugh instantly is a real winner, and that line always
works,
and it actually puts you at ease as well as putting them at ease. And it's the same when you're standing up doing a wedding speech. If you're the best man or you're the groom, you've got something straight away you can say is going to make people laugh. It's a win-win, and you're just going to relax into it and think, oh God, it's not as bad as I thought. This
wedding speeches is a whole different kettle of fish. I've seen some corkers.
Yeah, but for me, the ones that always start with a laugh, they're always great.
I've seen some every end of the spectrum.
I think I must have heard 2,000-3,000 wedding speeches in my time. I've done over 1,000 weddings, so 3 speeches per wedding. I've heard some awesome ones and some not so awesome ones. But even the not so awesome ones, and this is what I think. If I see that person, I'm not going to judge them on the speech they did, even though it was rubbish.
You judged me when I did my dad's.
Well, that was really bad. No, actually, it wasn't too bad. Your dad's was really bad.
So yeah, hopefully that answers your questions. Anyone else that might be worrying about this stuff, because it's a common thing.
Without a doubt, but you listen, you're not on your own. I mean, God, there's a lot.
You're not on your own.
I meet videographers, all the time on weddings, and I don't know them. And yeah, I think sometimes it goes with the territory. I think you guys, you creatives, you can be a little bit introvert, but it doesn't matter.
Because the beauty is, you can just sit back and hide behind your camera if you need to.
You've got that. You don't ever feel pressured. You should be going out and chatting to people.
Yeah, but don't use that as an excuse, I guess. What I'm getting at. So hope that helps. Hope that helps. And if you've got any questions,
or if you've got any comments on it, just stick them below.
Stick them below.
You might agree with us or not. Whichever way, we'd like to hear from it.
But it leads nicely into that belief of ours that just being yourself on social media, showing off your personality, being confident, building a network is the best way to build a strong wedding business. So go get it. You can do it.
Sure, absolutely.
Like and subscribe and stuff, and we'll see you next time.
Well, there's a bell somewhere.
See you next time.
Hit
subscribe,
the bell.
Like, bye.
See you later, guys.